Hello and welcome to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon, and today we'll be counting down the top 11 worst sequels of all time. Why 11? Because I suck at making lists. This video itself is actually a sequel. I just did a top 10 best sequels of all time list. If you haven't seen that yet, go ahead and click on that and watch that one first. Number 11. Batman Forever. Yes, I know, Batman and Robin is worse than Batman Forever in every way, but Batman Forever started the downward spiral. Both of Tim Burton's Batman movies were great, but then we got Joel Schumacher as director, and that wasn't a great choice at all. Well, name one movie Joel Schumacher's made that was good. Actually good. I'll wait. There isn't one. Tim Burton had established a dark and gritty DC universe so far in his first two movies, but that was all thrown out the window for the third installment. That would have been like if Joss Whedon randomly burst in and replaced Christopher Nolan in the Dark Knight trilogy. So instead of dark and gritty, we have bat nipples and eventually bat credit cards.
7 million. Never leave the cave without it.
Number 10. Jurassic Park, The Lost World. Or apparently The Lost World, Jurassic Park. Even the title's confused. Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park was amazing. It combined groundbreaking CGI with amazing animatronics and really good practical effects, all coming together to make some of the most amazing creatures in all of cinema. And on top of that, we've got the atmosphere of the island being all mysterious and creepy and feeling like you're trapped. It was a great movie, so according to Hollywood, it needed a sequel. Now, Jurassic Park was based off the equally great novel by Michael Crichton. There was just one small problem. There wasn't a sequel to the novel. So Spielberg actually went to Michael Crichton and asked him to write a sequel. Michael Crichton had never written a sequel to any of his books before, but Steven Spielberg was asking him to, so he had to do it. So Michael Crichton took the time to write out a new, complex, and great story. But Spielberg read the story and I guess he liked King Kong better. Because, you know, that's original. Putting these giant animals in a cage, bringing them across the ocean on a boat to a city in America and having them run loose in the streets, yeah, we all wanted to see that. There's no awe and amazement anymore, it's just Hollywood cheese. Number 9. Spider-Man 3. Yes, Venom is terrible. He is one of the worst represented villains ever. But believe it or not, that's not why I hate this movie that much. I can get over the bad Venom, I can almost get over emo Spider-Man, but the plot twist about Uncle Ben's real killer is just so dumb. Spider-Man 3 was brave and innovative with a lot of its ideas, but ultimately it ruined its past to try to make a new future. Having Sandman be the real killer of Uncle Ben just makes the first movie feel pointless. It tried too hard to push new ideas and expand on the old ideas without maintaining the integrity of the old ideas, which is honestly a shame because it could have been so good. But here it is on the worst sequels list. Oh well. Number 8. Kick-Ass 2. The first Kick-Ass was so new and original and different. It was great. It was funny. It was dark. It was cool. And ultimately just different than any other superhero movie we'd gotten so far. And then there was a sequel. What happened? It wasn't cool anymore. It wasn't funny anymore. It wasn't even dark anymore. It was just... ugh. And on top of that, the CGI looked like a college student did it. Maybe it was just too rushed. Maybe they were just trying to get it out too fast. But man, they lost everything that made the first one the first one. It felt like every decision that went into making this movie was the wrong one. Number 7. Shrek the Third. DreamWorks came out of nowhere, and along with it came Shrek. It was a sudden surprise, genuine contender for Disney movies. So naturally, along came a sequel in Shrek 2. And that one surprised everyone again as actually being genuinely good. It added new characters, new ideas, it expanded the universe. It was better in a lot of ways than the first one. And then came Shrek 3rd. And oh, I think there was one good joke in this entire movie. Honestly.
The only person standing in your way is you.
Me?
Get him, lads! Yeah!
And I know it's satire, but Jacksfilms' review of this movie is actually pretty much accurate. This movie added nothing. The first one built on the universe so much, and then this one just did nothing. The villain is the same villain as in the second one. That's boring. And on top of that, we somehow added too much, yet not enough. We added tons of new characters, but none of them were memorable at all. In fact, they were annoying. We've got Justin Timberlake sleepwalking through a performance as King Arthur, and Eric Idle, I don't know what he's doing as Merlin.
I'm a buzzing bee. Buzz, buzz, buzz.
And then we've got all of these princesses, and they're pointless. It's just so cluttered and so full, but empty. Shrek the Third was literally so pointless that the fourth movie doesn't even acknowledge the existence of the third one happening. You can skip right over it. None of the characters transfer from the third one over into the fourth one except for the babies, and the fourth one starts with a montage about the babies. It was so bad that it made the fourth one look good, and the fourth one was just It's a Wonderful Life with Shrek. And yet that looked good by comparison. Wow. Oh, wow. Number 6. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. I don't really hate the prequels as much as everybody else seems to, but there's no getting around it. This isn't a good movie. This is far from the worst Star Wars movie, but man, it started the downward trajectory. It basically threw out a ton of canon that had already been built up by the previous trilogy. It also switched genres by making Jedi action heroes instead of peacekeepers, and tried to make itself into a sci-fi movie by adding midichlorians to explain the fantasy of the Force.
Midichlorians are a microscopic life form that resides within all living cells.
All around, it was just confused and didn't really make a whole lot of sense. And it set the new standard for Star Wars movies. Throw out everything else that you've already built up just to make a new story. That's why we have the current trilogy we're stuck in. Nothing in that makes any sense, and nothing in that is built off of anything else. It's just brand new random nonsense. This of course is also when Marcia Lucas was no longer involved in the making of Star Wars, and it shows. The pacing is no good, the storytelling's inconsistent, it's just all over the place and doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Number 5. Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. The first one was surprisingly good, especially for a Michael Bay movie. I honestly feel like the studio was probably controlling him the whole time because it was decent. For the sequel, I guess he was just let off the leash because, man, it's just full of Michael Bay-isms. Bad jokes, racism, sexism, tons of explosions. It's just painful to watch. It's a sensory overload, the amount of CGI you're just staring at the whole time. It strips out everything that was likable and quirky about the first one and magnifies everything that was uncomfortable and weird. And then adds more uncomfortable and weird for good measure.
Name's Willie. Yeah. Say my name. Say my name.
I don't have words for it. It's just bad. Okay, move on. We're moving on. Number 4. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. It's so disappointing to see a franchise that was on the last list show up on this list too. But they just missed the mark on this one. It's hard to explain why exactly. The Order of the Phoenix is the longest book in the series, but for some reason it's the shortest movie. That leaves us with a chopped up storyline that makes no sense when it's done. And the directing is just awkward and the pacing is weird and none of it really fits together. This is also when Daniel Radcliffe started showing up to set drunk every day. He didn't want to be Harry Potter anymore and it shows. His acting is terrible.
Look at me! What's happening to me?
I will say that the one saving grace about this movie is the wizard duel at the end. I can't think of a single other wizard duel in all of cinema history that's entertaining to watch, but for some reason the one in this one is. That's amazing. But unfortunately the rest of the movie is so forgettable that you really don't need to watch it. Number 3. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. The Pirates of the Caribbean franchise had already been going downhill for a while, but this one really showed that there was nothing left anymore. At least the original trilogy still had some entertainment value to it left when it was all said and done, but this one just felt so pointless and old and tired, and it really just seemed like Johnny Depp was just looking for a paycheck. And he probably was. There's nothing interesting left, the character's been worn out, and it cuts out every other character that we cared about. It's not funny to see Johnny Depp running around being a weirdo anymore. It's just kind of sad and repetitive. Marlon Brando tried to warn him, but apparently he didn't listen.
He said, how many films do you do a year? And I said, I don't know, it depends, you know, maybe 3. He said, too much. I said, what do you mean too much? He said, we only have so many faces in our pockets. You know, and I thought,
You got it.
It makes sense, man. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you run out of characters.
Number 2. Dumb and Dumber 2. This might be an unpopular opinion, but it's honestly not reaching that far that I think Dumb and Dumber was a better sequel than Dumb and Dumber 2. Dumb and Dumber at least tried to capture the original magic that was Dumb and Dumber. They failed. Oh boy, did they fail. but at least it looked like they were trying.
Nice jugs.
Yeah. Hey, your mom's got jugs like these.
Yeah, but they've never been in a magazine.
Oh, they ought to be. They're beautiful.
The actors playing Lloyd and Harry in the prequel actually looked like they were trying to represent the characters well. Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels looked like they didn't even care in Dumb and Dumber 2.
We gotta be subtle about it.
The word is pronounced subtle, Harry.
It's a silent B. What was that for?
You had a gnat on you.
If you don't know how to portray a character that you yourself created, then you're either too old or you don't care anymore. It's one thing watching a couple of young guys be idiots. That can be funny. But when they're in their mid-50s and they're just as dumb, if not dumber, than they were in the previous one, it's not funny anymore. It just looks sad. Number 1. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I just don't understand the thought process behind this movie. Did anybody actually genuinely think it would be a good idea or entertaining to watch an old guy do all of these whipping tricks and flipping over things? And then grumbling to himself, I'm too old for this. On repeat for 2 hours? 2 hours? That would have been a funny college humor skit. That's about it. The script makes no sense, the acting is terrible, the special effects are laughable, and he survived a nuclear explosion by hiding in a lead-lined fridge. I might honestly hate this movie more than Batman and Robin. Man, I do not like this movie. I'm getting upset. Well, if you liked my shirt, I've got a link for my merch in the description. Don't forget to like, share, and comment, especially sharing. It really helps. Comment below and let me know your least favorite sequels ever made. We can commiserate together. We'll be a family. I'm Simon from SimonsRants. That was my rant for today. Wish it wasn't, but that's what it is. Golly,